Welcome back to Take It Slow Homestead, and welcome back to my greenhouse. It's been a while since I've made a video, and so I want to show you everything that's been growing. First of all, here's the celery to the right, and I'm ready to up-pot those. Here's the bush cucumbers. I planted some of those outside in the garden. I guess we're outside here too. There's the parsley. They need to find a home outside. Also the thyme. I've planted most of my green peppers, bell peppers outside. Here are the rest of them. The ones on the right are the, I think they're the red ones, yellow and green. These little sugar pie pumpkins need to go outside. And I have a shady spot out there, cool, where I'm going to plant these broccolis. I did have a few cauliflower germinate, not too many, but enough. These are the larkspur. I mean, they're gonna bloom in here if I don't hurry and get them outside. I've planted 4 cabbages outside, and here's the rest of them. The ones outside, of course, are growing a lot faster than in here. And then here are the echinacea, purple coneflowers. They're doing great. Finally got them to germinate. Yay. I never did get the trumpet vines to germinate, but these purple coneflowers are doing well. I've planted some of my tomato plants here inside of the greenhouse, and since I planted them, they have like 10 times their size. And with them, I've planted some basil. There's some here and there's some outside. That tomato plant wants to lean. Must be a little top heavy. Maybe I will prune the bottom branches, see if that helps. More basil, more amazing tomato plant, more basil, another tomato plant, and one more basil right there. And then I have the beets. I just gave them all a drink of water. These are the last ones, the most previous ones I planted. They're doing great. The ones I planted secondly are right here in the middle. They're doing well. And the first ones I planted, I've already harvested most of them, but there's a few left. And what I did with them is cooked the greens, the beet greens, with garlic and froze them. No, wait, I didn't freeze them. They're in the fridge, and I've been having them for lunch, along with some barbecued pork that I cooked, and some mashed potatoes. Yummy. But the beets themselves, I have cooked, cut up, and frozen, and so I will have those for later on. The rosemary is doing great, getting bigger. Like I said before, I'll probably leave those here in the greenhouse because it's warmer in here than it is outside during the winter. Now let's go out to the new no-dig garden where I've planted some of these starts. This is where I planted those 4 cabbage plants. They're doing great. This is the area where I made my no-dig garden. I saw this idea on YouTube and I thought it was a good one. So here's the main thing about it. First of all, you put down cardboard over your weeds or contractor's paper. And then you make a row of wood chips, a row of compost, and you keep doing that for as many as you want. The depth of the wood chips and the compost should be around 6 inches, 6 inches deep. So that's what I have tried to do on these. The width of the wood chips depends on how much walking space you need between your rows of compost. I actually have a row of gravel chips over here. I've had this around my raised bed for a long time. I just added more to it. So after my rock path, then I have the wood chips. There's about 1.5 feet wide and 6 inches deep of those. And then I have a row of compost, which is 2.5 feet wide and 6 inches deep. Another row of wood chips, 1.5 feet wide and 6 inches deep. Another row of compost that is 2.5 feet wide and 6 inches deep. Another row of wood chips, which is 1.5 feet wide and 6 inches deep. And the third row of compost, and I have a fence in the way here, which is 2.5 feet wide. And then I decided I needed another row, so this is only 1 foot wide of wood chips and 6 inches deep. And then next that will be 1.5 feet of compost for the extra row that I need. And I'm working on that. And then after that, I've got 2 feet of wood chips before we get to the other raised bed, which is actually my son's raised bed. So that's what I've been doing. And up here in the foreground, I've got some fencing slats that I've been using for border support. And then I also have some plastic, which I'm going to put under the wood chips that I put here. Over there on the other end, you can see the border of fencing slats, which is right there. And then there is a space of about, I would say 4 feet, that will be more wood chips. And then there is that support right there, that board that looks gray. And that's between this area and where I plant the peas. This is the project that I've been working on for the last several weeks. It's taking longer than I thought. It's a lot of work, but I'm getting there. These beautiful white flowers right here are last year's carrots that have gone to flower and will soon go to seed. And then I'll have my own carrot seeds from my own carrots, probably forever. It looks like there's going to be a lot of seeds produced. And here's my raised bed. The onions are doing great. I planted some carrot seeds in this for this year. Some of them have germinated well and others are taking their time. I also planted some spinach in this raised bed too late in the spring, and so they have decided to go to seed. I also have 2 potato plants. In this bed. Here's one, and there's one right there. Yay! I'll show you what I have planted in the no-dig garden. These are the bush-style cucumbers. And finally, the yellow crookneck squash has germinated. There's 5 of them along here. In the next bed over, I planted some celery too soon, so I'm going to be planting more of that. And these are all peppers of various colors. They're all bell peppers. Some are green, some are yellow, some are red. Over here in the next bed, I've recently planted more basil, tomatoes, basil, tomato,
Basil, tomato, basil, tomato, basil, tomato, basil, tomato, and basil, 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 basil.
Here is the last row of wood chips. It's only about 1 foot wide. On the other side of that is my last bed for a few more things that I want to plant out here. And this is the work that is cut out for me for today, tomorrow, and however long it takes. The hollyhocks are blooming. Beautiful. Another project I've been working on is this little bed for some strawberries. It's right here next to my main asparagus patch. And I finally got some railroad ties installed around it. Hopefully that will be good because, as you can see, I have been able to add soil to it. And from my original strawberry plants I planted, I only had 4 out of, I think, 10 that made it. That's when I decided I needed to add more soil and get some support up around it so it holds the water better. So that's the new and improved little strawberry patch. Just for your reference, this pile of dirt was about 5 times bigger than this before I started my no-dig garden project. Also, we have a new kitten here that my grandsons found and helped their parents nurse it back to life. And if you want to see her, little Mira, you can look on the previous video. Don't know about you guys, but the flies are driving us crazy here. I guess it's the warm summer temperatures. Hope I don't eat one while I'm talking. But I just want you to remember that even if it takes a whole month of your summer, even when you take it slow, you can accomplish a lot. Thanks for watching.